Twitch chat, hello. Guess who's running late? It's me, not our guest. Our guest is on top of it. If you're new around here, hello, I'm Abers. I play video games sometimes. Sometimes I interview other streamers about streaming on a little podcast called Why We Go Live. And so that is what we're doing today. Our lovely guest today is Villynne. I'm going to play a clip of hers real quick so you can get to know her.
Come on, we go fight, Yellow. This fight club. I didn't like that.
Oh, bye.
She had a very nice singing voice, though. Oh, God.
I like that picture. If my kid gave that to me, like, I'd probably take them to the therapist, but I also would, like, hang that on the fridge.
Say cheese. To be fair, his question was valid. What happened? Kari, what happened?
This ghost is a dick and I don't want to play anymore.
Music change. Music change. Don't jump. You don't know why I'm jumping.
No!
No! I'm on my way.
No, don't John Cena me while I'm running! Lorcan, are you okay?
My dude.
I mean,
my
yeah,
bro,
you're obviously
my
not okay.
guy.
I guess you're dead, but you're not dead?
I used to be an adventurer like you. And I
Oh,
took
no.
an arrow in the knee. I'm going to find whoever did this.
Oh, so good. Skyrim shenanigans are some of my favorite shenanigans. Everybody, welcome, Villynne. How are you?
Pretty good today, actually. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad that you're here. Thanks for spending your time with us. I appreciate it. I do love all your Skyrim clips because I think that's how I first got to know you, was watching you play Skyrim. And
Yes, modded Skyrim.
Yeah, because I'm playing through Skyrim for the first time, and I was like very like intent on being like, I'm gonna play modless just to like see what the like vanilla base game is like. And then I watched you with your cheese gun, and I was like, this is incredible.
Everything returns to cheese.
Everything. It's the circle of life. Well, let's just begin where it's the most logical place to begin, at the beginning. Villynne, do you remember the very first time you streamed?
Oh my god. That was so long ago.
Yeah?
Oh god, I think the first time that I streamed was almost like 3 years ago, and it was legit just me and like 4 of my friends just being butt heads to each other in was it Outlast? No, it wasn't. Oh, Dying Light. We were
Okay.
being butt heads to each other in Dying Light. I think that was my very first stream.
Nice.
And it was just, how much can we do that would make the other people in our own party die?
Gotcha. Okay. And so, like, if you go a few weeks or like months before that, leading up to that, what was your thought process in being like, I want to try streaming, I want to go live?
Honestly, one of the friends that was actually in the Dying Light stream, he actually started streaming first, and he was trying to push a lot of us to do streaming as well.
Okay.
And I was really the only one that kind of wanted to pick up on it. So I actually started doing some Overwatch streams because we were decent at the time. That was back when like everybody was pretty much in like the gold or platinum category if you weren't like a high tier streamer. So it was just me streaming from my PlayStation with all of the rest of us screaming over each other in party chat.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're one of those. You started on your PlayStation.
Yes.
Okay. And what is that like? Because now, are you streaming on a PC? Or are you still on a PlayStation?
I stream almost 100% on PC. I stream very rarely from my PlayStation. Part of it is due to technical limitations. Like, I can't have my overlays, I can't have my avatar unless I send everything through a capture card, and that's not really something that I'm gonna set up and know how to
Yeah.
set up. I think I bought a cheaper capture card at one point. It was so much issues to try and get the sound to work.
Yeah, yes. I have finally, knock on wood, I don't want to scare my capture card because I swear if I like look at it funny, it'll fuck up. But it took me forever. I wasn't using it for PlayStation. I've been using it for Switch exclusively, but like it took me forever to figure out how to like configure it to make sure it was like consistent and wouldn't randomly mute or like just like shut off and like yeah, like the capture card thing is tricky for sure. What is it like streaming on a PC versus streaming on PlayStation?
It is so much smoother.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Every time, so one of my biggest gripes is every time that you'd have to like go to another menu. So you like say you had to open up certain start menus, it would legit just give you a blue screen that just had like a picture of a camera to be like, you can't view this stream right now.
Yeah.
And some games just completely like turn off the ability for people to see things. So like if I would play ESO, there were certain cutscenes that people couldn't see.
Yeah. And then you wouldn't have a camera. Well, no, you could theoretically have a camera, right?
You can, it's like a hookup to a PlayStation, but I don't particularly like to cam stream, which is why I'm moth.
Well, I was gonna say, like, yeah, so you wouldn't be able to on PlayStation, at least I don't think, put together a PingTuber or a VTuber, right?
No, not without a capture card because then you'd be running
Right.
everything through your PC anyway.
Gotcha. Okay, okay. Well, and going into the PingTuber thing, so what was the inspiration behind your PingTuber?
Honestly, because I didn't want to cam stream, I felt like it still gave people more of a reaction. I'm not a huge fan of like that, I guess you would say game grump style of just having the audio.
Okay.
And even when I was like streaming on PlayStation and everything, I'd be like, yeah, you can hear people, but there's not really any type of extra reaction on that. So I felt like at least it was a little bit of something reactionary, even if it's very minimalistic.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And why a moth? Well, and also actually, has it always been a moth? Like what has been, I don't know, the evolution of it.
Uh my PNG tuber has always been a moth. Mostly I am a night owl, but I don't really associate myself too much with owls. I am a huge kaiju Godzilla fan, and Mothra is my favorite kaiju. So I figured it
Mm.
was a pretty good send off to do that, but I didn't just want to be a Mothra copy.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And what's the story behind your screen name?
Honestly, a really long time ago, so like obviously this won't be a dox thing, but my actual name
Hope
is
not.
Lynn.
Okay.
So somebody was like, "Oh, so you could just be like Villynne," and I was like, "I like that."
Cute. Oh, that works out
Which
beautifully.
is also why it's spelt the way it is. So it's basically a phonetic
Gotcha.
screen name.
Oh, love it. Okay, that totally makes sense. That's funny. I just kind of assumed that it was spelled a little bit funky because like villain was already taken, right? But like, no, I love that. That's great.
Yeah,
Works
there
really
was
well.
actually a purpose.
Yeah, nice. Oh yeah. So you started about 3 years ago, and then you're affiliate now, right?
Yes, I've been an affiliate for 2 years, but I did
Nice.
wind up taking a year off due to some, real life difficulty stuff. So
Okay.
I couldn't really stream much.
Gotcha. Yeah. And what was your kind of, I don't know, journey of getting to affiliate? What was that like?
The hardest part, and because this was a little bit more in the olden days of Twitch, where
The
you would
olden
hit
days.
the olden days of Twitch, where you would hit one of your goals to be an affiliate, and then the other two goals were blank. And by the time you hit those other two goals, the other one didn't count anymore.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the hardest part of that was always that average viewer count. And we actually wound up hitting the average viewer count because I would stream party games 1 to 2 times a week so everybody could play Jackbox. So
Nice.
people would just hop in to play Jackbox. And because they obviously had to view the stream to know what was going on, to see my screen if I was hosting it, we just kind of did it that way. But it wound up helping out to get the affiliate thing. It wasn't even like an intentional thing. It was just like, hey, let's all just play Jackbox together.
Nice. Yeah. What has your experience been like having like random strangers come in and play a game like that with you?
I don't play too much Jackbox anymore just because I know that sometimes some people will pop in just to be pain in the tuchus, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
I do run like Jackbox nights through like my Discord and stuff so that it's like a community night. Which I don't stream those because we're all just terrible people sometimes.
Fair.
And I really don't want to break any Twitch TOS, especially because all of us kind of curse like truck drivers. And it's kind of like an open night for people to just do what they want to and be as silly or as unsilly as they want to.
Gotcha.
But I do invite viewers to play some games on certain days. So like we did Fall Guys one time while I was on stream. I do invite people to play Final Fantasy with me if they're in my chat and I'm like, hey, you guys want to join a party? I'll add them. We can play for a little bit. I think there was one night that we did Phasmo too, where people were allowed to join for Phasmo. And that one wound up being actually really silly. We did some tarot card roulettes. Everybody died. It was a great time.
Nice, nice. And what kind of games do you typically like to play on stream?
I variety stream, so I will play pretty much everything. I think probably the games that I do play the most is probably Final Fantasy 14 and Phasmophobia. But occasionally I'll be like, oh, there's a visual novel that I kind of want to stream. Let's do that today. I did do a drawing stream like a month and a half ago.
Ooh,
where I
that's
just
fun.
basically doodled a bunch of really random and bad things. I totally know what a cat looks like.
It's so weird once you get asked though to draw a cat. It's like, how do I like? I remember because I did like Inktober, my first like October of streaming, where it was like every Friday I would like draw different prompts, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I remember one of them, I think the word that they gave you was like twist or something, and I was like, oh, I'll do a pretzel. And as soon as I started to try to draw a pretzel, I was like, how the fuck do pretzels work? Like, I don't understand. Like,
See, that's the beauty of a pretzel. It can really go any way that you want.
It can be whatever you want it to be, sure. What do you think are some of the maybe like biggest differences from when you very first started streaming to your stream now?
I think when I first started streaming, it was really more that I was like, okay, I'm going to just put on a stream and just me and my friends are really going to interact with each other and you guys can watch. And now it's more interactive to the audience. Like I'm more aware that I have people watching and I need to talk to the people who are watching. I need to acknowledge them more often. I've started to I gave them, which this might be for better or worse, I gave them sound alerts so they can torture me during streams.
Right.
For some reason, Snoop Dogg always just is a jump scare to me.
That's
we haven't figured out why. It just is.
I mean, just for me, unexpected noises, which is funny when you like make, noises available to your chat, but like anytime I'm not expecting a noise, it will jump scare me no matter what it is. What kind of people tend to find your streams?
Usually it's people within like the VTuber community.
Okay.
A lot of the people that are within my audience now are people where I've either collaborated with a streamer and they were like, oh, I'm going to go check that person out too. Or if it's just like, I always find when I do like really late night streams, I guess because Twitch is a little more dead at that time, the algorithm kind of favors it when you're a smaller streamer. So like I'll have people that'll pop in while I'm playing Final Fantasy and then they'll be like, oh, I love this part of the game. And then they'll hang out for, 2 hours or 3 hours while I'm playing it. And then they'll wind up giving me a follow. And then I just start seeing them more often.
Yeah. Oh, here goes my cat. Sorry.
That cat is ready for violence.
She is. She's choosing violence very actively this morning. It is interesting, like the different crowd and the different, I don't know, the way that the algorithm treats you depending on the time of day that you stream. I've noticed that because like when I very first started streaming because of my work schedule, I was late night, which is interesting because then you end up interacting with people in like totally different time zones than you. And like, yeah, the way the algorithm treats you is interesting just because of like other people maybe not being around in your category or whatever. And then like randomly playing in the mornings, it's like, oh, this is a completely different crew,
it's a completely different audience and a completely different crew. So one of the other things too, and especially when I stream Phasmophobia, is my times for that kind of, so when I play Phasmophobia, I don't really like to play it alone. It's not even necessarily a jump scare thing. It's just that it's always so much sillier when you have friends.
Mm-hmm.
One of the friends who consistently plays with me is Australian.
Mm-hmm.
So she's obviously a different time zone. So we will usually do Phasmo streams when she's on. So my Phasmo streams will always be at the exact same time.
Yeah.
And then I'll also stream games that like don't have a huge audience going, or it's like, for example, I streamed Roller Coaster Tycoon 2
Nice.
at one point. So I wound up with a lot of random people just coming in because I was like letting them name rides and everything. We wound up with some really weird ride names. Like Tax Evasion Simulator.
Hmm. There is
so they just
that is a game
popped
though,
in.
isn't it? Or am I making that up?
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's we played Roller Coaster Tycoon. Tax Evasion Simulator is actually a game. I do have it.
Okay. I was gonna say because I've
but,
heard of that one. Yeah.
Yeah, like I would play Roller Coaster Tycoon 2, and I guess because they were like, "Oh, I remember this game." I think one time I played Pharaoh, and I got 5 followers and 5 people in the chat that I've never seen before because I played Pharaoh, and it's a game that came out like in the 90s, and they were like, "I haven't seen this in like 15 years."
Yeah.
I was like, "Well, welcome. Now you're seeing it now."
That's awesome. Yeah, it's fun. It's interesting, like being a variety streamer. I think that like sometimes people will say that that's like one of the hardest routes to go off of because you just never know who's going to be interested in the game that you're playing, and if people are only interested in watching you for a very certain game, like whether or not they'll continue to watch you when you play different games. Like, what has your experience been like playing different games on stream?
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Like I said, when I started, I kind of started just playing one game, which was Overwatch. But when I started to branch out into other games, then I was playing stuff that I didn't feel miserable playing. Not that Overwatch was a miserable game, but it was just like I'm playing the same thing over and over again with the same people over and over again, and it's starting to get tiring. Variety streaming not only lets me play other things, but it also lets my audience see other games that they might not have known existed.
Yeah.
Because I do play a lot of indie games as well. Like if I see something on Steam, I'll play it. And if I see something on Steam, it's got a pretty good review, it's, on sale, or it's not too expensive, I'll be like, oh, I'll pick that up just to stream it.
Yeah.
And voila, it's like 10 people who joined in for the stream that day are like, wow, I didn't even know that existed. Now I kind of want to try it.
Yeah, I love indie games, man. Like it's well, and it's cool because
games are a treasure,
right? And you find like very niche communities that out of nowhere are like, oh my god, I love this game, So it's fun, and it's fun too because it's like when you find an indie game and you're able to kind of like get to know the developer a little bit more, like it's just indie games are a treasure. There's something very like special about them. Are there any games that you feel like you need to kind of like keep precious and like not stream?
So originally, that's how I felt with Final Fantasy, and then I actually had people who typically watch me ask about streaming it. So originally I was like, no, that's just kind of something that I just kind of want to do on my free time type of thing. And then I was like, you know what? I was like, I know what I'm doing at this point, because probably the biggest, I don't want to use the word gatekeeping, but the biggest thing to gatekeep a game is like sometimes you just don't want to hear the backseat gaming.
Yeah.
If you don't know how to do something quite yet.
Absolutely. Yep.
So that was kind of what it was with that, because I have a free company there, which is a guild. They teach me a lot of things. I have friends that teach me a lot of things on there, so it's kind of like, well, I'll eventually get it.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want an audience backseating on it to tell me how to do stuff while I'm still learning how to do it in game.
Totally.
Now I've kind of passed that point with it, but definitely for me right now, the one game that I don't foresee me streaming and just kind of keeping it like off into my side category of things that I'm just keeping for me is Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, yeah. And why is that?
Because I just want to be silly with it, and I just want to do all of the different choices I can do without anybody being like, oh, well, you could do this choice instead and this will happen, or it's easier if you do this. No, I want to explore it. I want to make my own mistakes.
Yeah.
I want to take it at my own pace.
Totally.
And I want to get frustrated when I want to get frustrated.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. Do you ever have like backseaters come into your chat?
Occasionally.
Yeah.
Occasionally. I usually put up like the no back seating tag. I have had to say to people, hey, we're not doing that here. I think that only ever happened maybe twice.
Okay.
And honestly, the people who did kind of backseat, when I said, hey, we're not backseating, we're still learning the game, they just were like, oh, okay. Like it wasn't like a bad thing.
Good.
Like they didn't give me a problem about it.
That's nice. That's good. Like I've had some people that totally respect it and totally get it, and I've also had other people that are like very insistent on being like, no, I'm going to tell you how to play this game. It's like, okay, well,
Yeah.
bye. I'm going to ban you because that's how I roll.
Well, sometimes you got to. You ask nicely.
true.
You
It's
ask nicely.
true. Yeah.
But it's like, it's first time, what is it? Shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Third time, it's a ban.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm so banhammer happy that like sometimes I'm like, I'm not in the mood today. You can put in an unban request. I'm not doing it. But that's someone that's being pretty extreme, I think, most of the time. Like, yeah, how do you, especially I think in this kind of like online world where we don't have as much context as you would talking to someone in person, like you're reading text and whatnot, like how do you go about setting boundaries for yourself?
Honestly, I don't have, like, my boundaries are not as strong, I would say, as some other people. Like, I'll put up with a lot of things, and I think it's just because I have a lot of patience.
Yeah.
But I would say my biggest boundaries things is when people start to like, I'm trying to think of how to word it. It's one of those things where it's like, if they're there to be a jerk about other people. So like if somebody comes into my chat and it's like a whole, this is why I hate VTubers thing. Okay, well you can leave type of thing.
Totally.
Because I have had that. I did have somebody, like, there was something silly going on and we wound up, my friend did something and I basically answered with a whole ooh thing. And they were like, this is why I hate VTubers. And I was like, okay. I was like, so then just don't watch them. And that was, I think, like the first time that I auto banned somebody, but it was just like, really? That's you show up, that's the first thing you say in chat.
Yeah. I'm fascinated
like it was
by
obviously
that.
trolling, but
Right, sure. Well, yeah, and the first time in chat, it's like, okay, you're just like, you're looking to get a rise out of people. Like you came in here very specifically to like be a dick, whatever, fine. I always find it fascinating people that like, it's not necessarily their first time in chat. And they'll do the same kind of thing where it's like, I really hate this game. Like, I really wish you weren't playing this game. Or like, it's so frustrating. Like, I'm not always good at video games. I'm often pretty bad at video games. People are like, oh my God, it's so frustrating watching you. I'm like, then go elsewhere.
then there's
Twitch millions
other
of people you
can
could
watch
choose
right now. You don't have to sit here to complain about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think I had that. I think I actually had a similar thing like that when I was playing Spyro, because we were doing a completionist run. So it was even all of the gross, tedious things you don't typically want to do. We had to do, and we had to. If you've ever played Spyro on a PC, like the new trilogy,
okay, yeah,
like that they came out with, like the remake. If you ever play that on a PC and you use a controller, sometimes there is skips in the frames, so it does make certain things very difficult.
Yeah.
So I had to do a jump many times in a row, and somebody was like, oh, this is annoying, just do this. And I'm like, I am doing that. I'm getting frame drop. If you don't want to watch it, there are other people playing Spyro that you can go watch.
Totally. I think the worst one for me, and I love Cuphead and I will continue to play Cuphead. I'm not good at Cuphead. And I'm very much a like bang your head against the wall person, you know? Yeah, right. So I will spend an entire stream failing at one level. And so for some people that's their jam and they're here for it, and other people are like, oh my God, like please try a different level. Like, oh my God, like I cannot watch this anymore. It's like, okay, then turn off my stream. Then don't watch it anymore. Like, go watch a speedrunner who's good at this game.
Yeah, go watch a speedrun then.
Yes.
It's okay. I don't blame you.
Yeah.
It's fine. Just go watch a speedrunner then, because
totally.
I'm not speedrunning.
It's so funny. It's just like it's interesting. it's just the relationship I think that we have both as viewers of other streamers and then also as the streamer who's kind of like interacting with. For all intents and purposes, the majority of the people hanging out in our streams are probably strangers, right? So it's interesting the things. One of the first people that actually the first person that I interviewed on this podcast, used the phrase the veil of anonymity, which I love and I will continue to use. But it's fascinating the things that people will say under the veil of anonymity, where it's like, you would never, if you like saw me in real life, like, you would never actually say that to me. But because there's like two screens between us and theoretically you're anonymous in this moment, it's like, no holds bar, I'm entitled to say what I want, you know?
Yep.
And at the same time, you know, the opposite, where there can be some people that are like very, very sweet and very kind and gracious. So it's an interesting mixed bag, I think.
Oh, 100%.
What are some maybe like takeaways or first impressions that you're hoping people get from your stream?
Honestly, I'm just hoping that people get the impression that it's very chill. Like it's literally just a place to hang out and maybe enjoy a game that you haven't seen or haven't seen for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I do play older games, so that's some of my games are older, so that's why like I'll do that. And we did a point redeem one time, and we wound up playing a Pajama Sam game.
Yeah.
So that one was all just a vibe. So yeah, I just want people to know that it's just like a friendly place to hang out, even if they're there to like chat with other people or they're just there to, you know, listen or whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, and are there other streams that you're inspired by or other streamers that kind of like inspire the way that you go about things on your stream?
Honestly, I wouldn't name any specific ones because it's kind of like an amalgamation of a lot of different streamers that I've watched.
Sure.
Or a lot of different streamers that I follow or are friendly with.
Mm-hmm.
What I think I had mentioned earlier, actually pre-show, that one of the people that I collaborate with a lot is a Bat VTuber.
Yeah, yeah.
So me and him will do collaborations together, but I aspire to get that amount of chaos in some of my streams that he gets.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether it's with other people or not.
Well, and you're talking about... Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Hydra is their name. Well,
okay.
Their Bat's name. So I aspire to get that level of chaos in some streams, although sometimes I'm the cause of the chaos.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and when you say chaos, could you describe kind of like what that looks like?
Just basically everything that can go wrong will go wrong.
Sure. Yeah.
Which, like I said, sometimes I'm the problem where I am the chaos. Like we played Demonologist. He turns around, he goes, "Why is everybody naked?" And I was like, "Well, I found out you could just run around in a bikini."
Why not is the real question.
And then everybody just followed me.
Love it.
Man, that ghost had a day.
Well, and it sounds like, I mean, in terms of like setting up sound alerts that people can set up and like really enjoying kind of like letting people just kind of like, I don't know, be goofy and go off the rails. Like it sounds like that's something that you really value in your stream and just in your community in general.
Oh yes.
Is there a line? Is there a point where you're like, okay, I need to train conductor and get things back on the rails? Like what does that look like for you?
I actually did have one time. So the sound alerts, because that's like the main thing that I let people do on my stream, and I actually have them at a very small like channel point redeem so that people can use them, and they are on a short timer, because most people are very respective of it. There are a few sound alerts that are also like paid ones with bits.
Okay.
But I also keep those on the lower end so that this way people who want to use those can use those without being like, oh my God, I have to spend this much money on a sound alert.
Right.
So I did have at one point where somebody decided to, I think it was the Shooting Stars one, where they spammed it like 20 times in a row, and those were like 15 bits each.
Okay.
And it was like, okay, well, if you want to donate 15 bits that many times, you could just do a donation and then do like one of the shooting stars, but they did it like 20 times in a row to the point that I actually had to put up my away screen and I had to actually take it off and take off my paid ones for the rest of the stream
Yeah.
because they also did so anonymously and I had to turn off my thing that lets people do it anonymously.
Man, that's rough.
So yes, but after I came back, like they never did it again. So I'm like, okay, I'm like, that was really weird, but whatever.
Right. Yeah. Well, I had a similar where I have like text to speech for like subs and bits and stuff. And originally for bits, I was like, oh, 1 bit, like it's fine. It'll be like
Yeah.
no one's gonna abuse that, right? And one person like they very much were like into like kind of like silly dad jokes and things like that, and it was like, okay, like this is kind of funny, but like it just like there was one stream where it was just like over and over and over and over, and I was like, okay, time to take away
Time
your
to change
toy.
this.
Yeah. It was just too much. I couldn't handle it, and it was funny because even during that stream, I was like, you know, as soon as someone abuses it, I'll take it away, and then that stream, I was
that's
like, okay.
essentially the same thing I had to do. Somebody abused it and it had to get taken away.
Yep.
It was brought back later, but it still has it that you can't do it anonymously anymore because of
Gotcha.
that person.
That's smart. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things too that it's like, I think most of the time people don't necessarily do these things like maliciously. But also in terms of, again, that kind of idea of like anonymity, it's like there are people out here that will be malicious and use that in a way to like kind of, I don't know, try to get to you or like spread some sort of like hate and vitriol in your stream, you know?
Well, the good news is I usually don't let them get me to that point.
Yeah. Well, and we kind of talked about this already, but like, what do you do about trolls or people that come in and try to just like be an asshole?
If it's like a first time offense thing and it was like not that big of a deal, I'll usually time them out for a certain amount of time. But if it's something that they're like obviously looking to cause trouble and that like that's legit their only reason for being here, then I'll usually just ban them or one of my mods will ban them.
Yeah. I kind of want to go back to something that you mentioned earlier in that like you've been streaming for 3 years, but there was a time where you took like a year off for some personal stuff. I think that in kind of Twitch culture and content creation culture, there's this kind of like hustle thing of like, you know, like always be posting and be consistent and blah, blah, blah. What was it like for you coming back to streaming after having taken an extended break like that?
Honestly, it's a little tough because you have to get back into the swing of things. Like you can't just be like, oh, okay, well, I'm gone, I'm back, and then expect to have the same audience or expect for your old audience to still be there because it is the internet. People are going to go to things that are happening at that time.
Yeah.
I was very lucky that a lot of my community just kind of stayed hanging out. I kept my Discord open, so a lot of them were still staying in the Discord. They were still chatting with each other. So in my sense, I count myself as lucky since I didn't really miss out. And I was also a very small audience before that as well. So it wasn't like I was, you know, I went and lost 200 and something subscribers. Like if I lost subscribers, it was like maybe 6.
Yeah. Well, and in terms of this kind of idea of like numbers that we're talking about, whether it's like numbers in order to get to affiliate or numbers like coming back after taking a break, like what is your relationship to the numbers and to the algorithm?
I honestly try not to look at them. One of the biggest tips that somebody had given me when I first like was seriously starting to stream was to turn off your viewer counts in your stream manager. They're like, don't look at to see how many people are watching. They're like, don't look to see how many people are in your chat. They're like, worry about what's going on, act like there's always somebody in the chat, act like there's people always there because sometimes people will watch later. I was like, okay. And at first it's a little hard to get into that mentality, especially if there is nothing going on in your chat. But as you start to grow a little bit, it gets easier to do on slower times, and when it's busy, it's a very fun time. But I do have like people that they'll post like in my Discord and they'll be like, oh, I watched the VOD from so and so. I can't believe that happened in this. Like, we had a Phasmophobia stream, and they just did a brand new update. The ghosts are a lot more aggressive now. We've noticed.
Yeah.
So one of them actually like showed itself as soon as we entered the house. It was like during the grace period that like never used to happen.
Mm.
So somebody had mentioned afterwards, they were like, oh, so I didn't know that ghosts could show themselves during great grace period. Like I didn't see them in my chat or anything.
Mm-hmm.
They watched the VOD.
Yeah.
So you have to, even if they're not watching at the time, just be friendly and have stuff going on because they're gonna watch later probably.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Well, and if it's not necessarily, viewership that motivates you to stream, like what is it for you that motivates you to stream?
Honestly, I just like to share my games.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just like to chill and share my games, and I just like to be a cute moth while I do it. So
Love it. Love it. Yeah. In terms of kind of this idea of like your like stream persona, like being a moth and being Villynne versus you in real life, like what is the line, I guess, between like your online self and your in real life self?
moth me is definitely a lot more positive.
Okay. Okay.
um Moth me is a lot more positive and a little more bubbly. I honestly I can't think of like a time that I ever got like really mad or really upset while I was on stream.
Uh-huh.
But I will also be one of those people that like if I'm doing like a raid farm, I'll be like, we've done this mechanic 17 times. How do you not know it?
Yeah. Yeah. Are there things from your kind of like identity or kind of cultural background that kind of show up on your stream?
Not not really. Like not that I could really say, to be honest. I don't think that they're like the only thing that I can think of is like I'll have like pride stuff for my channel to
Mm-hmm.
go with my moth. That was actually so like I also because I also associate my avatar with myself, so I have a lot of like the pride flag stuff, but in my emotes there is actually one of my moth carrying a flag, and it is the bi flag.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's really, I guess you'd say, like the only association that I kind of like keep with the avatar and myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that, for most LGBTQIA plus people, like that's a really important part of their identity. And like speaking from a personal place that way, I think that Twitch, oddly enough, has been a space where I feel very safe and comfortable being queer, even though there's random people that will come in and like spread hate or whatever, like for the most part, like it's been a really great way to find other queer folks and queer spaces online.
Oh yeah, and honestly, the people who are troublemakers that do stuff, that's going to happen everywhere.
Sure.
I feel like it's less prevalent on Twitch than it is on certain other sites.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, were you a fan of Twitch before you started streaming on Twitch?
I would watch streams a little bit here and there.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't one of those people that I lived on Twitch all the time. I think I
Right.
honestly watched YouTube more, but I didn't
Okay.
really watch YouTube for streams. It was really more of just like video essays and stuff.
Sure. Sure. And like
But I
now that
definitely
you
watch more now.
stream, yeah, I was just gonna say, so now that you stream, do you tend to watch Twitch more?
Yeah, I do tend to watch more. So sometimes it's just to get like ideas of, oh, they have this. I should think of doing something similar to that
Sure.
for like my overlay or something. Like for example, one of the streamers a long time ago that I was following, I was like, they use extra screens when they're away. I should start getting screens for when I'm away and when I'm starting stream. Cause like when I even first started streaming on PC, I didn't have any of that.
Right, right. Well, and I think it's something that like having different like overlays and having different screens and stuff, I think it is something that you kind of build up your arsenal over time. I don't think anyone right away when they start. Well, that's not true. I think there are some people that very much like research it and they're like, okay, like this is what you need to have when you start streaming. But I also think for a lot of us, it's very common that like a month in, you're like, oh, people have stream alerts when someone follows.
Yep.
I should figure out how to
Yep.
do that. Um,
Exactly.
and it's interesting too, this kind of idea of like Twitch etiquette, you know, there's certain things that you don't say in other people's chats, and there's certain things that you do if someone raids you or something like that. Like, do you have any thoughts on kind of Twitch etiquette or just Twitch culture in general?
People need to not advertise in chats. That's the only thing that I feel like is not something mentioned on Twitch etiquette. And it's not even streamers. It's not even the streamers, because streamer etiquette, streamers know you do not go and advertise in other people's chats. However, and this might be something that's more of a PNG and VTuber issue that seems to be happening, because I also noticed it with some of my friends that also are VTubers. You will have people that will say, I do these types of rigging, this type of rigging. I do this type of PNG avatars that come in your chat all the time. And it's the same type of thing where if you say you want to commission somebody and then you get 5 million bots on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's the same thing if you put the VTuber tag.
Interesting.
On Twitch. You will have people that just come in and they'll be like, hey, I make emotes, I make overlays, I do rigging for 2D live avatars. And it's, even if you look at it, you could tell that 99% of them are usually stolen, so it is also bots. But
yeah,
occasionally I will get people that like actually like aren't bots. Like I had one that said something in chat and I said, hey, that's not really how you should be advertising your business. And then they wound up staying and actually chatting.
Oh, that's cool.
In the chat for a while. Because at first I thought that I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's a bot thing. And I was like, wait. I was like, I don't think that's actually a bot, because it was actually somebody that had like videos and stuff on their channel.
Yeah.
So I was like, hey, I was like, that's not really, like, I deleted their message. I was like, hey, I was like, that's not really the best way to advertise your business. I was like, it's just going to make people annoyed at you. I was like, so it's not really going to help. So they were like, oh, they saw a bot doing it. And they thought that's just how you do it.
Right.
But that's kind of one of the etiquette things that I don't know if it necessarily falls into like other streamers, but I definitely see it a lot with like VTuber streamers, with people like targeting immediately with art and commission ads.
It makes sense that it would. I think it does happen everywhere, but certainly I would imagine it happens far more frequently in VTuber and PingTuber chats like that. That makes sense. And it's something I had never really thought about in terms of like kind of being specifically targeted in that way based on your tags, you know? I'm curious too if it's ever worked. Like I'm curious if like a bot has gone into someone's chat, or even not a bot.
Well, not for me, because I have 3 artists that I use for all my stuff.
Right.
And those are the only 3 artists I will be using.
Right. Totally. Well, and like I want to talk about that, and it's just the audacity, I think, of people thinking that like, I don't even know if it's audacity. It could be audacity. It also could be just like totally oblivious. Like I want to give people the benefit of the doubt when I can, but you know.
That's why I thought that they might have just been oblivious to it. Because usually if it's a bot, you're going to go and look and there's absolutely nothing on their Twitch channel. But the fact that they actually had followers and the fact they actually had videos was like, basically told me, okay, yeah, no, this just is somebody that didn't understand the assignment.
Right. Well, a lot of the rules, kind of like what you said, are very unwritten rules. They're not necessarily explicitly stated anywhere, right? So I think there is kind of a reliance upon people understanding social cues in this very specific kind of Twitch environment that we exist in, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it is a very specific environment.
Yeah, definitely. So you mentioned you had 3 different artists. How did you meet them? How did you choose them?
So the artist that did my PNG tuber, that's the person that I mainly go to for art. Her name is Rita. She's an animation student. So I was like I draw. I actually went to college for animation. However, I do work full time, and at one point I was working 2 jobs while I was also streaming.
Yeah.
So it was like, how much can I really put on my plate at one time? And I would much rather, if I have the extra cash, or if I got most of my stuff from streaming, I will save up my money that I get from Twitch payouts and use it to upgrade my streams.
Sure.
So I'm not using my own cash for it. So with her, I have most of my emotes from her, and I have my avatar from
Okay.
Rita.
Okay.
I would much rather put my money back into the artist and commission community if I
Sure.
can, if I'm not able to do it myself. Another person that I use is actually somebody that I went to college with, and she's the person who did my channel icon
Oh, cool.
with the sunglasses.
Yeah.
She also made 2 or 3 Overwatch emotes for my Discord when she was at it.
Okay.
And then the last person is somebody that they really do YCH emotes, which are just basically like you make a base and then you just adjust the bases for whatever commissioner.
Mm-hmm.
And that's Dobbs has done some of my emotes and one of my alerts, which
Okay.
is the pink rave sticks.
Okay. Nice. Nice. And how have you gone about like building an aesthetic for your stream and kind of like having a theme for your art and everything like that?
So honestly, with the avatar itself, I actually drew my original avatar as
Okay.
a character reference sheet to
Mm-hmm.
give to these artists. So it has what the character looks like from head to toe, and then what goes into each area. So like what the eyes should look like, what the antennas should look like, what color goes into the wings, what color goes onto the dress, what color goes, how the hands are done, because the hands are not like regular hands.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that reference sheet that I give to all the artists that they can use for color reference and to reference the character for their own style, that one I did.
Okay.
The aesthetic just kind of matches my aesthetic IRL.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm very into the witchy stuff, the tarot cards,
Yeah.
the nighttime stuff, the mystic stuff, the crystals. So I was just fortunate enough to be able to find people who do lease those things over Etsy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, it's going back into the artist community. I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
So all of those people, though, I credit in my Twitch, like in my About Me section, all of those are credited. So if anybody wants to commission those people or find those things, they're all credited on Twitch as
Love
well.
it. Yeah. Yeah, pay your artists. It's important. I think people
Exactly.
forget that like there is so much labor that goes into creating an
Oh,
emote
100%.
or right?
Honestly, that's the reason I don't have a live 2D avatar is
Mm.
because it's so much work. Like I
Yeah.
understand how the rigging itself works
Yeah.
because it's the same type of rigging that we used to use in Toon Boom Harmony when I was in college for animation.
Mm-hmm.
However, it is a ton of work. And there are like if you go and you look, some of the people who do the live 2D models, like the rigging for them, it's a month's rent worth
Oh
of
yeah.
money. And I think they're still undercharging some of them
Right.
because of the amount of work and perseverance and troubleshooting involved. But that's also why I don't have one. It's because I know I can't afford it. So
Sure. Yeah.
maybe one day in the future, as I figure out more of it myself.
Yeah. Yeah, because there's like a little bit that I've kind of researched on that, but like the amount of different programs and just like the skill and knowledge and like all of the practice that it has taken to get to a point where you even know how to do those things. Like I think those are hours of labor that people forget to like take into account when you're paying an artist to make
Yep.
something, you know?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And there's honestly so many artists that they don't charge enough
Yep.
for what they do.
It's
And
true.
there was one piece of art, and it wasn't actually related to my streaming. It's actually related to my Final Fantasy character. I commissioned somebody to do like an icon for me, and they were like, "Oh, it's like $10." And I was like, "Okay, I'm not paying you $10. Here's 35."
Yeah.
Like I just put the rest in as a tip, and they're like, "But it's only $10." I'm like, "You're undercharging, please."
For real though, you are. Yeah, it's true. It's true. Well, and it sucks because it's like I understand that, you know, as an artist, we live in a world where people do undervalue artists and don't
Oh.
understand why they
Oh,
should
yeah.
pay more, right?
100%. And part of the other issue to it is Fiverr exists.
Right.
So people think that everybody is going to price everything like Fiverr, which they're obviously not.
Right.
But outside of Fiverr, you have people who undercut their prices so much in places like DeviantArt, Twitter, Tumblr, Instagram. They undercut their prices so much because they're afraid if they charge what it should be worth, then nobody's going to commission them.
Right. Exactly.
And I was one of those people when I was younger because I used to pay for my groceries in college through doing commissions.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would undercut myself because I'd be like, well, if I charge them only $10, then I can use that $10 to buy a gallon of milk, a loaf of bread, and this. Things were
Totally.
much cheaper back then, guys, I promise.
It's true though, like knowing that it's like, okay, if I charge more than this, people aren't likely to like pay for it. So I guess I'm gonna
Exactly.
undercut myself, which sucks. That's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Do you
Which
still work?
and that's
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
that's why that's why I tend to just throw back into the artist community
Yeah.
rather than do a lot of my own stuff.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And for you being an artist, I think firsthand having that knowledge, it's like, it's kind of like anyone that's ever worked in the service industry. It's like, no, you tip and you tip well. You know what I mean?
You tip well and you don't leave an absolute disaster.
Right. Yeah. Do you still work in art as your kind of day job?
I actually don't.
Okay.
I was not able to get a job in my field out of college. I did get a interview as a storyboard artist, and I had to do a test as a storyboard artist. I did get like feedback from it. However, it was one of those things where they lied about if the job was going to be remote or not.
Ah, that's so frustrating.
And it was basically, hey, we can offer you the position, but you're going to need to move to California. And I was like, but this said a remote job. I don't understand. And they were like, they're like, we have it open for remote, but we'd really prefer if people were local. And I was like, I cannot move to California.
Right.
So I kind of give that up. If you want to be super technical, I have a government job now, but
Okay.
it pays a pretty decent amount of money. I get a nice amount of vacation, so I really can't complain.
Yeah. And do you see any like parallels between your day job and streaming?
You know what? Honestly, not really. Maybe just the frustration at technology.
Okay, fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's interesting. Because like I think for a lot of us, it's like that maybe there are some skill sets in terms of like technology, like you said, for example, like that crossover. But I think for a lot of people that work full time, like their job is like completely different than what they do on stream,
Oh yeah. You know what though? I think that's kind of good if it's completely different, because then if you always do the same thing over and over and over again, you just kind of get tired of it.
Sure.
When I had worked 2 jobs, I was doing the government job, but I was also dog grooming at the same time.
Okay, interesting.
And I mean, I loved it. It kind of filled the void that I don't have any animals at home.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it does test on your patience, it tests on your patience mentally, and then it is very physically demanding.
Yeah,
especially because a lot of people don't really train their animals.
Mm-hmm.
But I wound up, I think I actually quit there in like March, which was honestly the best decision I've ever made, because I get to spend more time and stuff with like my family and my nieces and stuff.
Yeah. Having 2 jobs is rough. Having 2 jobs, even just having 1 job and trying to stream, let alone having 2 jobs and trying to stream. Like,
yeah. Oh
kudos
my
to
God.
you.
It was absolutely insane.
I believe it. Yeah. Have you ever experienced like burnout with streaming?
Oh, very often. Honestly, so I think I had told you my old computer imploded upon itself.
Yeah. Oh,
So
the worst.
I had to get a new computer, get everything reset up, because there were some things that actually corrupted and I couldn't even move them.
Yeah.
So I had to reset up OBS like completely from scratch. So I reset everything up. However, it did take me like close to 2 months to get everything set up back to normal, kind of get my scheduling back to normal itself. So it was almost like I had a 2-month break, and honestly, it was really nice.
Yeah. Sometimes you
it was
need
not
those
an intended
breaks.
break.
Yeah. I've kind of been doing that myself. Like other than the podcast, I've kind of stepped back quite a bit just because I recently got a new job and just like burnt out on like my old job. I kind of burnt out, which meant I kind of burnt out in everything in life. And so like it's interesting because there is this kind of like fear of like losing what I've built here, and at the same time like I have really needed this time to just like take care of myself and kind of like recalibrate, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Do you ever feel any kind of like pressure or anxiety around streaming?
The only time that I ever feel anxious with streaming, and this actually kind of puts into how I do things now, is I would feel anxious if I had made a schedule and posted it on Twitter and posted it in my Discord, and then had to miss the stream for any reason, whether
Yeah.
it be that I mentally did not have a good day, I got stuck babysitting one of my nieces because there was like an emergency, or because I was volunteered outside my will,
Sure. Sure.
or if I was just insanely tired and I like overslept, then I would get anxious, I would get nervous. It would be like I was dreading looking to stream.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I feel like if I make the promise and I break the promise, then I feel like a bad person. So I don't post stream schedules, which I know is kind of like a big no-no, because then people don't really know when to look forward to your stream.
Right.
But when I do stream, I usually stream at about the same time. So I don't feel like I'm breaking a promise, and it does make me less anxious.
Yeah.
And it makes it a little better for me. So when I do stream, it's like I'm not worrying about it.
Totally. And I think there's pros and cons of both. Like when I very first started streaming, I was very adamant about not having a schedule. And then later on decided to have a schedule, and like I see so many pros and cons for both. Like I'm the kind of person that kind of needs structure, otherwise I won't do anything, but also I resent structure. ADHD, baby. You know, but there's also this kind of thing of like when you don't have a schedule, you have the freedom to really take care of yourself and really gauge, like, do I actually want to stream today? You know?
Exactly.
I think that can maybe, and it is one of many things that makes streaming as a hobby and something you enjoy versus streaming and content creation as your like main source of money. Like, I think that's a really big difference in terms of like being able to say, hey, today I'm not feeling it, so I'm not going to do it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And especially so with my job, there's some days where like you kind of just you have to do overtime.
Yeah.
And it's not like a boss standing there and saying you need to do overtime, you need to do overtime. It's just legit, there's so much stuff to do, you need to catch up, this way you don't have to worry about it the next day.
Yeah.
And you don't want it to be done on a different day. So you kind of have to, go do overtime. And sometimes the overtime is 40 minutes and sometimes the overtime is 3 hours. It really
Right.
depends on the person.
Yeah.
So I don't feel, oh my God, I can't do these 2 hours of overtime that I want to do. So I don't have to worry about this tomorrow, because I have to stream in 3 hours. And I know if I get home, I'm not going to be able to shower, eat, set up a stream and everything. And then even if I do get to do those things, I'm just so tired. I'm just going to sit there.
Yeah.
It's not going to be entertaining for anyone.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Yeah. Well, and what to you makes a stream entertaining?
Honestly, interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes with anything, I've seen even like VTubers and stuff. You have your VTuber there, you have your PNG tuber, you have the person sitting there on camera, but they're not doing anything. It kind of reminds me of like bad reaction content where the people just stare and watch the video and then don't give any type of input to it.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
So if they're just going to sit there and stare at another screen or stare and play their game, but they're not going to talk to their audience, or they're not going to even move at all. And that's also one of the other things with like the whole VTuber thing is some people's VTubers are basically PNG tubers, because it is motion capturing you. You do have to act a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you're just going to sit there, then your avatar is just going to sit there.
Yeah.
So the interaction part is really the part that makes a stream good or bad to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I find VTubers and PNG tubers, I find it so fascinating because it's like you said, like, I think on a more technical rig, you're going to have the motion capture kind of a thing. But if you have a PNG tuber, it's almost like puppetry to me, where you're not only playing a video game, but you're also controlling like the different like facial expressions and the different things that like the PNG tuber is doing. So it can be as simple or as complicated as you want to make it, you know?
Oh yeah. If it's so like I have a very simple PNG tuber. Mine's technically only 2 frames that switch back and forth. However, you can do things to like change eye shapes, and a lot of people will stick those actually on stream decks or on hotkeys.
Yeah.
So that this way it changes very quickly.
Yeah.
I just find it a little easier for me with my lack of technological knowledge to do the 2-frame one.
Sure.
But it does basically give people a little extra something to look at, and it does show that I am still interacting with them as it talks.
Yeah. Yeah. Are there things that you have found that are kind of like unique in the VTuber and PNG tuber community that are maybe that maybe other people don't realize about streaming and content creation? And that's okay if no, you can be like, no, I don't know.
No, it's not even necessarily a unique thing. With the VTuber community, and this is a part of the community that I find very interesting. A lot of people use them as personas for themselves, and some of them treat them as totally new characters.
Yeah.
Where that character will have its own lore, its own name, but it's totally different from the rest of them.
Right.
That part is kind of neat. I do feel like, and this is somebody who just kind of, I'm one of those people, I'm like a fly on the wall. I just kind of watch the community every time that they start to have some type of rampage. The community itself has issues that it does need to work out with each other.
Okay.
If you go into VTuber space, there's always on other social medias, a lot of those people like to cause trouble for other people, or they like to insinuate things, and sometimes it's stuff that they take out of context. So I'm just a fly on the wall at that point.
Yeah.
I don't go in on any type of their drama. I don't want to.
Yeah. Well, and I think that exists in its own form in other spaces. I think streamer drama is definitely a thing.
Oh yeah, no, streamer drama is always a thing. Sometimes it's legit just an attack on, I don't like this person's character because it's a fox and 17 other people are also foxes.
So silly. It's so
it
weird.
That's why it is so silly. That's kind of the area of the community that I just don't really interact with. I do think the idea though of like making full-on personas and backstories and treating your character like an OC is really neat.
Yeah, it is cool. Do you treat yours like an OC in some ways, or does it feel more like just an extension of yourself?
Really more of just an extension of myself. In fact, we had a joke where somebody said to me, they're like, well, what's your VTuber's backstory? And I was like, I don't know. And they were like, well, give me something. And I was like, failed kaiju. And that was it. Like, the whole conversation just ended.
That works. I like that. Yeah, that totally works. That's perfect. It's a nice elevator pitch too. It's just plain simple.
Nice elevator pitch. You can work on that, work on that, but I'm just going to leave this conversation now.
Yeah. Totally. Do people in your real life know about your streaming?
Not like, the only person who like knows and interacts is my nephew. Okay. He actually occasionally is on my streams. Like he does play Phasmophobia and stuff with us. He's 19, so he's older.
Yeah.
My streaming space is 18 plus. It doesn't mean that every stream is 18 plus, but I try to keep it a little on the lower end of, I guess you'd say, I wouldn't even say saucy. I would just say like on the cursing and stuff, except for when we have the Australian on. But for the most part, I like to try and keep my community 18 plus. My Discord is 18 plus. However, like everyone outside of that, either they like for example, my parents, they know that I stream. They know nothing about it. Yeah. They don't know what a Twitch is. They don't know what it is. I think I one time showed my mother stuff. She goes, I have no idea what that is. And she walked away.
Yeah. It's fascinating. Yeah.
But like my sister knows that I stream, but she doesn't really use Twitch or anything. So it's kind of like a journey that I'm kind of on my own.
Okay. Yeah. And how is that for you? How is that having it be something that, maybe people know about, but don't understand or don't, explore with you, I guess?
In some ways it's good, and in some ways it's not. In the ways that it's good is I feel like I do have my own space, and that I can do what I want to do without getting judged for it.
Sure. Yeah.
However, then I do watch other streamers or friends that stream, and like their parents are super into it, super supportive. Their family's super supportive. I'm like, I wish I had that.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. I think it's a blessing and a curse. It's something that like, because I think that like in so many ways, kind of going back to, this idea of like queer spaces and safe spaces, I think also your Twitch space can be this kind of sacred space where you can just like fully be yourself, and no one necessarily has expectations of you to be a certain way like people in your real life would have, but at the same time, yeah, missing out on that support and missing out on that camaraderie, like yeah, I think it's a double-edged sword for sure.
Exactly. Like I have a friend who their husband will play in, well, they're actually on a break from streaming right now.
Hmm.
But they're like their husband and stuff would come play. Their kids thought it was like the coolest thing that they stream, and I'm just like, I wish I had that.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Do you have any passions or hobbies outside of streaming?
Honestly, really just kind of the whole drawing thing. I enjoy tabletop a lot. So I used to play a lot of D&D. However,
Nice.
a lot of my IRL friends are not super into that stuff.
Mm.
So I kind of just have to play mostly now through Discords,
Got it. Yeah, yeah.
or through Baldur's Gate.
Okay. Yeah, well, and I've heard, I haven't actually played Baldur's Gate, but it seems like it's like D&D the video game essentially.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, what's your favorite class in D&D?
Favorite class. I would probably say my a cleric, because
Okay.
and that might be because I love my cleric character, and she was just absolute chaos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And she was just so much fun to play as. Like
Totally.
there's something to be said when your cleric manages to befriend a gigantic human-sized spider and keeps it as a pet,
Love
and then
that.
also manages to friend a baby basilisk and also keeps it as a pet. And now the
You had a
entire
cool
party is
GM
afraid
for
of them.
sure.
He was like, well, you have animal handling. He goes, but you're gonna have to roll really high. And I was like, but I am an animal, because the character was an owl folk.
Oh, okay, nice. Hell yeah.
I was like, I am an animal. He goes, just roll for it. And I rolled a nat 20 on the basilisk, and he
There
goes,
it
well, I
is.
guess you have to have it. And then
You
for the
have to
spider,
honor a nat 20. You have to.
and then for the spider, I used charm on it, and it didn't get the constitution save.
Hell yeah.
And then afterwards we kept feeding it, so it just was like, oh, I'm gonna domesticate myself now.
Perfect. That's
We named
great.
it Ted.
Ted. Cute. Love it. Yeah. I feel similarly about, I had a bard character that was just so much fun. I've played lots of different classes, but like bard speaks to me in a way that like
Bard is always
so
a fun time.
It's so fun. Yes. Because you can just get away with the goofiest shit and like justify it. Like I think charisma as a modifier is probably my favorite. But yeah. Twitch chat, if you have any questions for Villynne, now is your time. Go ahead and type them into chat, and we will get to those in just a minute here, okay? Villynne, what are some things that have maybe surprised you since you started streaming?
Oh gosh. That you need to look up a YouTube tutorial for everything.
Yes.
If you don't have a background knowledge of anything in tech, a YouTube tutorial is going to be your best friend. That was actually very surprising to me.
Yeah.
And then I guess I would have to say how welcoming some people are when they come into your community. Like they're just, I've been very lucky that a lot of the people that come into my community have just been very chill.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice. I love that. Do you have any kind of like pre-stream or post-stream rituals, things you do to get ready or things you do to kind of wind down from stream?
To get ready for stream, I'll usually go and grab myself like a drink of some sort. And then clear my desk, because there's always just immense amounts of garbage on my desk. Not actual garbage, but like there's a paper here, there'll be a stuffed animal there.
Totally. I wouldn't know what you're talking about. Just kidding.
Mostly because I have to make room for my iPad so I can watch my stream manager for
right.
my cat.
Okay, let's talk about this, because we talked about this before we actually went live, but you are one of the few, the proud, probably actually the many, that you don't have two monitors for your stream setup. You're watching chat on your iPad, and then you have your main monitor for your game, right?
Yes. My space is super limited, and my hookup is super limited.
Yeah.
So don't judge me for this.
I will never.
But I actually don't even have a monitor. Everything is hooked up to a TV.
Oh, okay.
a small TV.
I mean, what is a TV if not a monitor?
not a
They're
monitor.
basically the same thing. My TV is a monitor if it makes you feel better. So, you know.
So everything is just hooked up to this small TV. My desk is a corner desk because of how small my like living space is.
Okay.
This room is. So the spacing that I have and the shelves that I have here do not allow me to like have a second monitor.
Gotcha.
So instead of destroying parts of my desk to potentially fit a monitor,
Yeah.
I did try doing a hookup through like a small laptop that I had, but I was having so much issues with it that I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I'm just going to use my iPad or use my phone, depending on what has the most charge at the time. And that's how I'm going to watch my Twitch chat is through the stream manager on the app.
Love it. Love it. Is it hard sometimes? I think mobile is notoriously slow compared to like having it on your PC. Does it feel delayed at all to you when you're talking to your chat?
So the funny thing is when you use Stream Manager, your visual of your screen is behind, but your Stream Manager chat is actually right on point.
Oh, interesting. Okay, that's good to know.
But you have to watch it through Stream Manager. If you
Okay.
just watch it through like so what I'll do is I will put the small window on my iPad as the stream itself, just so I can watch if there's any like technical issues or anything.
Sure, yeah.
And then on the larger part will be my Stream Manager.
Smart.
So the Stream Manager chat actually pops up at the same time that the chat would pop up while I'm on my computer.
Love it. Take
So
notes, people.
That was actually something I learned when I was still streaming on PlayStation, because everything on PlayStation was so delayed.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay. I was like, I guess I'm just gonna go and see what I can finagle. And I found out Stream Manager lets me do it at the same time.
No, that totally makes sense. Well, and I think I interrupted your train of thought because I was just like, let's talk about your iPad. We were talking about, okay, so you clear your desk, you get a drink of water, make sure your iPad or your phone is like charged and ready. Do you do anything after your stream?
After my stream, I will usually check Discord.
Okay.
And after I check Discord, depending on what time I finish streaming, I will either usually go to bed or hop on one of my MMOs to do the stuff that I didn't get to do earlier.
Do some of your dailies. Yeah. Totally.
Do some of my dailies.
Absolutely.
Get them roulettes out of the way.
You got to. What is it like having a Discord community? How did that kind of start, and what does it feel like now?
The Discord community, I started actually quite a while ago, and part of it was just so my friends also had a place to hang out, and then the people who came to my streams could also hang out.
Yeah. Did you start it before you started streaming, or was
I
that
started
after?
it before I started to seriously stream.
Okay, yeah.
I actually had a friend help me set it up, and I've actually had they've kind of gone AFK from the internet for a very long time. They've gone into some real life stuff, and I'm actually very happy for them because it was one of those people that was chronically online, and now they're not, and I'm proud of them.
Yeah.
However, that also means that I have to figure out a lot of this Discord and tech stuff. So once more, a lot of Googling, a lot of YouTube tutorials.
Good old YouTube, yeah.
So now I just kind of do what I need to there. I have all of my different channels that I do, and it's grown a little bit actually since I had come back to streaming more seriously.
Okay.
There are people that chat in there more, which is nice. Occasionally we'll go through our quiet periods, as most streaming Discords will do.
Sure.
And then I also have like another section set up so this way other people who stream, they're welcome to like post their links.
Yeah.
So like it's one of those things that if you have to chat a certain amount with the bot and hit a certain level before it lets you post your stream links, just so you're not just entering the Discord to post stream links every time you go live and then never talk to anybody.
Yeah.
I think that's honestly like one of my biggest pet peeves that I see in
Really?
streaming Discords is people that just join and only post their going live links.
Yeah. And why is that? Why is that a pet peeve for you?
Mostly because it's like, some of these people will join many, many different Discords and just do that.
Sure.
And I'm one of those people that, like, for example, I had mentioned my friend Hydra. He also has a streaming Discord. So I'm in his streaming Discord. If I have not chatted in his Discord for 2 weeks, I'm not going to post a going live link because I find that rude.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, if I've been active in his Discord, then I will post a going live link in his designated section
Right.
for going live links.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like one of those etiquette things
Yeah. Sure.
that you just don't do. You don't join a Discord, never chat, have one post, and then that one post is your going live link.
Yeah, that's
from the same
fair.
day that you joined.
Totally. Yeah.
And then I have like another section for people that are like affiliate ones with me. So it's like people that I recommend, where the
Okay.
bot will automatically post their link for them.
Gotcha.
So like one of my mods is on that bot. So when he goes live, it automatically posts his link for him. And that's kind of like a step up thing in my Discord for people who I know are active and people who I know are, enjoying the community and not doing things like that in other people's Discords.
Yeah, yeah, totally fair. It's interesting because I'm kind of a Discord lurker. So I don't necessarily chat a lot, but it doesn't mean I'm not like reading what's happening.
Yeah. No, I'm
Which
very
makes me a
much-
little bit of a creep, I realize. But you know,
I'm
it's
very
just
much a
interesting.
lurker myself in
Yeah.
most Discords. It's that's like like I said, I'm in streaming Discords for other friends and whatnot.
Sure.
But if I'm not active in it, if I'm not actively chatting in it, I'm not gonna post a going live
Sure.
link.
Well, and you said it. It's another one of those etiquette things. So there are
Yeah,
these kind of like
exactly.
unwritten rules of how you should, conduct yourself on different like forms of social media and whatnot.
Precisely.
Let's see. I don't have too many questions in chat, but I had a couple of different comments. Well, okay, one was a question for me, and I'm going to go ahead and open it up to you, which is totally random. Zerpy asks, are you a fan of Trader Joe's? And I said, kinda. Villynne, are you a fan of Trader Joe's?
They have really good black licorice Scotty dogs.
Black licorice Scotty dogs?
Yeah.
That's a lot of adjectives. Please explain.
Black licorice is my jam.
Okay, okay.
And some companies will make them like in the shapes of things, and I know like I believe it's Trader Joe's specifically makes them like in the shape of little Scotty dogs.
Cute.
I don't know why they chose Scotty dogs, but
Yeah.
at least the ones around here seem to have them. And
Yeah.
that used to be the only place that I could find the mochi ice cream for a while, but now
Okay.
other stores are carrying it. So
Yeah.
I don't really have much of a reason to go to Trader Joe's outside the Scotty dogs, but
Fair. I used to live right by a Trader Joe's. I don't anymore, so that's probably why I don't go to Trader Joe's anymore. I do think that they have the corner market on snacks. Very good snacks from Trader
100%.
Joe's, right? And so like to me, the way that I would use Trader Joe's is like if I'm going like to a friend's house for a little like get together, party or whatever, like that's the place. Just like grab a bunch of random snacks real quick,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My sister's sister-in-law she lives at like Trader Joe's.
Oh yeah, there are
Yeah.
some people that are very dedicated to the Trader Joe's cause. Which,
You know what? Good for them.
Good for them. Do it. Let's see. Sean J87 says, I love Skyrim and Fallout 4. Bethesda is top tier as long as you get no bugs. What are your thoughts on bugs as a Bethesda person that uses a lot of mods?
Well, first off, I am a bug. Secondly,
Nice. Hell yeah. Get it.
it's in the words of Todd Howard, it just works. Honestly, it's not a Bethesda game if it doesn't have bugs.
100%.
And the bugs are actually just a feature.
I have someone, one of my mods always says that. He's like, whenever I'm like, oh my God, this bug, he's like, you mean an extra feature in your
Yes,
game? It's like, yes.
It's an extra feature, just like how all of my dragons being Tommy Wiseau is just an extra feature.
You name them that? Or no, wait, you have a mod that it makes them that?
The mod makes them Tommy Wiseau. All of my dragons are Tommy Wiseau.
That is incredible. That is amazing.
I actually lost count on how many mods I have downloaded in Skyrim. And honestly, because there's so many, I forget about them
Yeah.
until they pop up and rear their ugly head like the Burger Jarl.
What does that mean? Explain.
I think it was outside of Whiterun. There was a mod that I downloaded at one point, and it just said Burger Jarl, and I said, okay, and I just downloaded it.
You're like,
I was
sure, why
like,
not?
This could be a computer virus. I don't know, but it just says Burger Jarl. So I downloaded it, and I believe it was by Whiterun.
Okay.
It was definitely like off of a mountain path. And all of a sudden, it looked like just an inn. And I was like, what the hell is this? I was like, I've never seen this here before, because I've spent many a times playing Skyrim, both vanilla and modded. And I was like, I've never seen this before. And then I realized that there was a food stand outside of it with a mud crab behind it. And I was like, what the hell? And then I looked at the mud crab and it said its name was Eugene.
Eugene the mud crab?
Yes. And I was like, okay. So it said that he could sell me stuff. So I clicked to see what he had, and it was all like chicken nuggets and burgers and drinks. And I was like,
so random.
Okay. I was like, what is this? So I was like, okay, I'm going to go inside. And then I realized it was just all stuff that was like referencing different fast foods. So I'm assuming Eugene is Mr. Krabs.
Okay. Oh, he is. Yeah, Eugene Krabs. Took me a minute. Yes.
So I went inside. There was it was like a different skin of Cicero. Doing a little jig and singing my burgers bring all the Jarls to the yard.
Love it. Beautiful.
And it said that it was the Burger Jarl, and then there was a skeever named Chucky.
This is the chaos that we were talking about.
And I was just like, what is this? It was a Burger King. Yeah. But it was a Burger Jarl.
Amazing. That's
I bought
great.
everything they had.
Do you have a favorite Skyrim mod?
Oh gosh. I think I have a few ones that are like up there. I would say probably one of the funnier ones to me is the one that made the courier into a giant frost spider, because for some reason it always just scares the crap out of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't expect it, and all of a sudden you just turn around and there's a giant frost spider that just says, "This for your eyes only," and he's larger than me.
That's incredible. I love that.
And then the fact that I have a secondary mod that makes all the frost spiders play the Spider-Man theme while this is going on. The Spider-Man theme is playing.
Okay, question.
Yes.
Having so many mods and playing it on stream, do you feel like it like weighs your system down when you're streaming?
Surprisingly, no.
Really?
I have over 100 mods downloaded into it. At one point, incredible. I'm pretty sure I had 200, but I did actually remove about 50 or 75 of them.
Yeah.
Because it was starting to not weigh my system down, but to weigh the game itself down to the point that it was crashing.
That makes sense.
So I actually wound up turning off some mods so that it wouldn't crash, turning all of those off did help.
Okay.
Some mods just don't agree with the system, and some mods are fine. For some reason, the one that lets you fight children just did not agree with my computer. I really wanted to punch a kid.
That is a great mod. Oh, there's several punchable children in
exactly.
In Skyrim.
That's why I was like, oh,
absolutely.
Several punchable children. I can punch them.
Yeah.
No, it wouldn't let me.
For sure. That's
outside
great.
of that, I think probably the other favorite mods that I have outside of the Burger Jarl is, and this one is just a very simple one, but it just makes me want to stop and listen from it, is every time that I find a Nern root, instead of it making the ringing noise, it plays Scatman.
Incredible. So ridiculous.
And then, of course, my absolute top tier is Sheogorath's Bow of Cheese.
Yeah, I was gonna say that the cheese gun is delightful. It's very fun.
The cheese bow is awesome. The only downside to the cheese bow is if that NPC happens to be carrying a quest item, that quest item is now cheese and can't be used.
You can't use it. That's really funny. Yeah, you have to go back and load a previous save probably.
Yeah, exactly. You got to go back
silly.
and load a previous save. But yeah, no, there's so many mods in there. There's the Screaming Bushes. There's the Spider-Man Frost Spiders. The Ice Act Sharks play the White Christmas from the Year Without a Santa Claus.
Oh my God.
That was just, I came out of a delve, and all of a sudden there was a fight starting, and somebody summoned an Atronarch, and they were shooting arrows, but the arrows were leaks. So it was playing the White Christmas song. There's leaks flying everywhere. There's wolves cursing at each other. All of the blood is just a blue galaxy. And I was like, what did I walk into?
Yeah. When you started playing Skyrim, did you immediately go into the mods thing, or did you start vanilla?
The first time that I actually played Skyrim on stream was through my PlayStation. And it was a vanilla. You can't really mod much on PlayStation,
right.
So that was vanilla. We made an orc named Shrek Light.
Perfect. Love that.
But after I had gotten my PC, I was like, you know what? I was like, I've played vanilla so many times. I was like, I am gonna mod the heck out of this
Nice.
until it crashes. And I was successful. We made it crash several times.
So good. So good. Star Knuckle says, $2 Chuck is no longer $2. The economy is in shambles. Agreed. Agreed. It's like how dollar stores, nothing is actually $1 anymore, you know?
Yeah. Well, dollar stores here they always charge tax. It was always $1.09.
Yeah.
When it was even $1.
Amazing. Let's see. Villynne, do you have any advice for your younger streamer self?
You know, for younger streamer May would just be patient and don't worry about how many people are watching or not watching.
Yeah. How do you do that? How do you not worry about it?
Well, it's kind of the tip that I had said earlier that was given to me was just turn off your numbers. Turn off your numbers, do your thing, vibe, and then after you're done, you're done.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Any goals or projects you have coming up with your stream or just with content creation in general?
Projects that I have coming up is I do want to make a new channel trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Because if people go to my channel and they look at my channel trailer, there's a lot of old clips with actually my 2 older avatars.
Oh, okay.
One that was a free use one, and then one that was like an early build avatar. I would like to do a new trailer with some newer clips for that one, and I would also, on my server, we've been trying to start up a D&D campaign, and that one, it's just been so slow because I've been like trying to write stuff out, and then like halfway through my brain just says, no, we're not writing anymore. See you later.
Are you going to GM it?
I am.
Fun. Have you GM'd before?
I have.
Okay, nice.
I have GM'd for games for D&D before.
Okay, awesome. Love it. Twitch chat, thank you for your comments and your observations and all of that jazz. With that, I think we'll go ahead and wrap things up here. As is tradition on this stream, we'll end with a little 10-question questionnaire. So just kind of quick and dirty, first thing that comes to your head. This is inspired by, you got this, I believe in you. This is inspired by James Lipton, Bernard Pivot, and CJ the X. Villynne, are you ready?
You know, as ready as I'm ever going to be. Why not?
Perfect. Love it. Which game or activity do you love to stream the most?
Phasmophobia, ghost hunting.
Which game or activity do you hate to stream the most?
Visual novels.
What turns you on creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Coffee.
What turns you off creatively, spiritually, or emotionally?
Being tired. Just needing to sleep.
Yeah. Which streamer would you like to meet most in real life?
Oh gosh. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. There's many.
Yeah.
There's many.
What's something you would like to try on stream but you never have?
Oh, shoot. This isn't very rapid fire. I'm thinking too much.
That's okay. And if you think of someone you want to meet, we can go back to it too.
D&D. I've been in a D&D campaign on somebody else's channel. I've not done one on my channel.
Ooh, okay. What is something you would never want to do on stream?
Be on camera.
Why do you go live?
To meet some new friends and share some games alike.
Follow-up question. Why do you really go live?
Because... yeah, that's a good question. To vibe, honestly.
Okay. Yeah. Final question. You are on your deathbed. You know exactly how much time you have. You have any and all resources available to you. Money doesn't matter. Viewer count doesn't matter. None of that matters. What do you do for your final stream on Earth?
Final Fantasy XIV, the last boss of Endwalker.
Okay. Nice. Love it. Villynne, thank you so much for being here and spending your time and energy with us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course. With that, I would love to spend or share the love rather, with somebody that you know. Is there someone online right now that you'd like to raid?
Oh, let me take a look.
In the meantime, people of chat, if you're not following Villynne, go do it. Click on that little heart above chat. It's very easy. Just boop, boop, do it.
Hydra is actually live.
Oh, perfect. How do you spell it?
It's Hydra_the_bat.
Okay, perfect. So here's a little raid message that people can go ahead and spam in chat when we get there. We want to let Hydra know that Villynne sent us, okay? So let me make that happen. Boom. So copy paste that, put it in chat when we get there. Thank you again, everyone, for being here. Appreciate you. We're gonna go ahead and raid. You said so Hydra_the_bat.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Got it. Love it. It's happening. And if you or someone you know would like to be a guest on Why We Go Live, you can go ahead and email whywegolive@gmail.com. You can follow Why We Go Live on Twitter and Instagram for updates and all that jazz. And we do this podcast maybe like every other Sunday-ish. Emphasis on the ish. All right, goodbye, everybody. Say hi to Hydra. Let them know that Villynne sent us, okay? Okay. All right, goodbye. I love you. Bye. See you. Bye. We're raiding, and it's happening, and I'm spamming the chat, and we're not live anymore.